Hi everyone, it's Rax. Today we had the Diablo 4 Season 8 campfire. I haven't made a Diablo 4 video in a while. And I want to talk to you about the good things that I heard and giving some feedback on the things that honestly Blizzard directly asked for in the campfire, and also talk about my future plans with the game. So let's start with some of the good things. In general, in hearing them speak and with some of the changes being made, they are going to add a bit of difficulty to the game, which is something that the game desperately needs. It is great that Diablo 4 is very easy to access. The barrier to entry is very low. The casuals love it. I don't want to take it away from them. There's still a lot of people who love the game exactly as it is. But when the game doesn't really provide any challenge anywhere, you honestly haven't really made a video game for the real fans of the franchise. The people who want to actually spend a good amount of time in the game really don't have a way to do that right now. Adding some difficulty in various parts of the game will help with that. And in hearing their philosophy of trying to ingratiate something like that into the game, can only be a good thing. They reiterated class balance. In plain English, some builds are just 100 times better than other builds, or they're bugged out of their minds, like the Spiritborn on the expansion launch, or the Bulwark Druid. And it's just really, really plagued the game almost for its entire lifespan. And they said that they've been taking, a real hard look at it and trying to make sure that these things don't happen. They seemed keenly aware from the data that they received in the PTR what bugs there were and what kind of outliers existed. So it's never going to be perfect, but I do feel that on the journey to balancing the classes at least somewhat in Diablo 4, I am anticipating in Season 8 it will be closer to that structure. Speaking of structure in the end game, the current end game flow of Diablo 4 actually doesn't work for anybody. It's not fun at all. Nobody thinks it's fun, casuals or blasters, where the whole meta is just endlessly farming the same boss, and a beast in ice drops the one drop that I need, so I run him a million times. I'm just sitting there over and over and over plugging these bosses. The bosses don't do anything. You kill them on T1 with any decent build, they just die instantly. When you get really strong, you just one-shot them in T4, etc., etc. And now that the endgame structure has a completely new flow to it, and they showed that in a chart, and I think it's going to be significantly better. And honestly, it's a structure that resembles a lot more of what Path of Exile 1 has, where there is like a progression to it, and the way that they've moved how some of the item drops work with the bosses means that all bosses will have some kind of value to you. So if you want to go kill a variety of things, you're never going to be hurting yourself. So I give them credit for doing a new structure, and this structure I think is going to feel better for almost every player. So that's just a win. Another thing that they're building into the game is some different quality of life things. Like, for example, when you're tempering, it at least remembers your old tempering recipe and things like that. We have seen from games like last Epoch that quality of life always wins with the community. You don't want the game to just auto do everything for you. Then you're playing a stupid AFK mobile game, and no one likes that. But anything that you can do to help the player experience feel really good and get them back to actually blasting is greatly appreciated. And stuff like menuing for the tempering recipe, 5 times in a row. No one needs to be doing that. So I give the team credit here. A lot of the core things that they're doing, in my opinion, are just making Diablo 4 better. And Diablo 4 is not going on a worse path. So that's nice. Let's get to some of the things that they asked for feedback on some things that we want to see. I think at this point in the development. I think a lot of the players who really follow Diablo 4 are pretty tired of us just redoing Diablo 4. Now, you could make the argument that, well, if the underlying systems are bad, the only way to fix it is to redo them. Yeah, I give you credit for it. But imagine for Christmas and for your birthday, every single year, you get your same bike back. Here's your bike again, but this time it has a picnic basket on it. Here's your bike again, but this time it has a little bell on the handlebars. Oh, here's your bike again, and this time it's got a playing card in the back tire that makes a lot of noise as you ride it so you can piss off your neighbors. All of these things are great. We love pissing off the neighbors, but at some point we need like a new present, right? Um, it seems like what we're always doing is just redoing the game instead of actually adding new things. And I think this is really starting to become kind of a buzzkill for a lot of the community, at least that follows it very closely. Along those same lines, Blizzard asked point blank for feedback on seasons. So I think the best way I can do this is to uh, give examples here. So, what is Diablo 4 currently doing? Well, they did what I can't even remember, vampire powers, and then they did the pet powers, and now they're doing the boss powers, and then they did the witch powers. And when we saw on the roadmap for the next couple of seasons, if I read it correctly, I don't have it up right now, the next few seasons also are powers, powers, powers. So let's go back to Diablo 3 days. Not sure if you guys were following then. I was very good friends with one of the leaders of Diablo 3, Matt Cedarquist, that works at Blizzard. And he had focus groups where me, Woody, and Rob would sit there and he would say, okay, guys, we're not doing any icebreakers. We're just going to get straight into it. What's the problem here? How do we make Diablo 3 exciting? And I said, I mean, we got to take some chances here. You got to give the players a reason to log into Diablo 3. Do you have ideas? How can you actually change the game? He said, well, we have ideas, in the past, maybe we've been a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on any of them. Diablo 3 is kind of established in what it is. If you're they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. If you keep releasing the same seasons, you're going to get the same outcome from the players. So then they started to do things very differently. For example, then they did the sanctified item powers, where you would get like these heavenly consumables and make heavenly items with angelic powers that were insane. But it added a crafting element to the game, and people really liked it. And then they did probably their greatest season ever. It's almost unanimously agreed. The Altar of Rights. They just made an entirely new progression system, an end game system. It even helped you while leveling. And it gave you really something to do. And the challenges got harder and harder and harder in a good way. It was so fun. And then they did the what are those little purple rifts called? Where you did something completely different. Instead of doing greater rifts, you went in the overworld, and then you would get into these crazy worlds. Sometimes you'd be fighting in town. Sometimes there'd be 10 bosses in a floor. Sometimes there'd be 30 goblins. It was just the Visions of Enmity is what they were called. It's just so over the top, but it was different. It was fun. And people loved it. People were like, man. Then we got the announcement that going into Diablo 4 seasons would be a grander scope. That is not how it's felt to me. I don't want to insult anybody who actually works on the seasons for Diablo 4. A lot of times, like the artwork looks very well, looks very good, like the UI. Like it's not like what you're doing in a vacuum is so terrible. Like the switch powers, it's fun to get some witch powers. It was fun to do the vampire powers. It'd be fun to do the boss powers. It's just the same thing all over and over and over. Diablo 3 was actually doing completely different activities like crafting, endgame system, and then a new like endgame activity that was like different than what we were doing. This is what POE1 always does. They do Ultimatum, which is a gladiator arena. Then they do Harvest, which is picking flowers. Then they do the Wisp, where you fight the King of the Mist. That was insane. And then they do ship building and town building. It's always so different, and you don't like it all, but at least you're really trying. They do Necropolis, where you manage burying the corpses of your monsters to do crafting. What I would like to see, like, however far into the roadmap where this can happen, if you want my feedback on the seasons, you have to abolish the idea of we're doing powers every season. I don't know how many it's been, but this to me, every time I hear it's X, Y, and Z powers, I'm just going to kind of roll my eyes because it's just not exciting. They said that they know that one of the players' feedbacks is that the skill trees are just so boring. Now, even like some of the more casual people are even starting to complain, and this is what they would want changed. And I can't emphasize this enough how much of a problem it really is. So when you play Diablo 4, when you pick Fireball, you have two choices. You can go like left, and Fireball does like 10% more burning damage, or you go right, and it goes 15% more crit damage. That's it. I wish I was kidding. That's literally it. That's how you customize your Fireball with your skill tree. And then all the other modifiers come from uniques or items or something like that. Now, compare this to Last Epoch. If you spec Fireball, every single skill in Last Epoch has its own entire tree. Like, I don't know, 30 choices. You can go in different directions. If you take Fireball up to the right, it might shoot 5 fireballs that bounce that explode after 3 bounces. Or if you go left, they might be like little lightning conductors that shoot from the ground. They turn into like lightning fireballs. If you go down and right, they might turn into like little chainsaws that make the enemies bleed or something. It's something crazy. And then you can mix and match them. You can go like all the way down the fire tree and then go halfway down the chainsaw tree and throw 5 spinning, bouncing, exploding chainsaws. You can do whatever you want. You want to know something that I don't hear? Now, granted, the world doesn't revolve around me. I make content for these ARPGs, all of them. POE1, POE2, Last Epoch, Diablo 4. I make content for all of them. And you want to know what I never hear from people who play Last Epoch? I never hear, God, the skill tree is just so complicated. I just can't figure it out. It just can't. I never hear that. I do hear, hey, I'm new to Last Epoch. I don't know exactly what it means, but having fun kind of like messing around and seeing what works and what doesn't. But I could use some guidance. But in the meantime, I'm just messing around with this or that. I never hear people saying that they're just overwhelmed and they just can't play the game. Like I can count on one hand or less the number of times I've heard that. So the whole idea that the game has to be so trivially easy with such simple decisions for it to function, even for like the normal player base, I just don't agree with it. It's not what I'm seeing. Is my player base everybody? No. Is my player base of a higher skill level than the average couch dad that's playing that just buys the game and doesn't consume content? Yes, I understand all these phenomenons. I've been doing this for a long time. I know how the world works, but I do talk to a lot of different people, and I'm just not hearing this feedback. I think with the skill trees, you have to give us some real meaningful choices, and going one way or another has to be transformative. It has to actually change my gameplay. It has to change my gameplay without me getting a bunch of items to change my gameplay. I need a lot of this ability to be within the skill tree itself. That's one of the biggest systems that needs a complete overhaul, in my opinion. The next thing is the challenges. It kind of ties to difficulty, but it's not exactly the same. Difficulty to me on the left side is just, are you experiencing pushback at different stages of the game in some form. And then you feel like you have stuff that you can overcome. Challenges to me is more like pinnacle content. It doesn't even have to be pinnacle content. To me, pinnacle content implies that it's not really for casuals. I need different checkpoints in the game that kind of mark and that I have accomplished something for me to specifically conquer and get a nice reward so I can overcome it. I'll be honest with you, the POE2 trials are not my favorite thing. I don't like Trial of Suck My Ass. I don't like Old Tomato either. I don't like them. But what I do like is the concept of them. At this stage, you ascend and you get this buff. I'll be honest with you, I don't really even like the ascension points either. I think they need a massive buff. I think PoE1 does it way better. I think the lab is better, and I think the ascension points are far more impactful. This phenomenon has worked since the dawn of video games. You ever played Final Fantasy 1, the very first game? You know how in the end you go and ascend? They literally had this in Final Fantasy 1, and it's such a great feeling. They need stuff like this. They do need some pinnacle content like Uber Lilith, but they also need some challenges along the way. I got to be honest with you. I'm not even sure that getting rid of the capstones was the right idea. I just would have made I probably would have went the other way. Instead of getting rid of the capstones, now my 1 to 60 journey is just kind of like a straight line, kind of like a slog, honestly. But I thought it was more interesting when I had to build up to go do this big encounter to go to the next level to prove my worth. If I would have been the game director, what I would have done instead is, how can we make the capstone way more epic? I want to make it epic. Not only do I want to make it more fun, but I want to make it even more rewarding for when you could say, I did my capstone at level 30 and I beat this boss and I got this reward and I got this power and I'm going to the next difficulty and da 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 da. I actually think that's not the direct. I would have went the opposite direction. So that's something that I'm missing in the game that I hope to see in the future. And then one thing that I need to mention, I understand why this might be happening. I don't know why this is happening, but the timing of some of these things that are happening in Diablo 4 just don't work very favorably for a lot of people. So what's happening is Diablo 4 launches, I think, on April 29th, I think is the date. And then 1 week later, they're doing a big promotion with their new battle pass where you can get free items. And then at that time, 1 week later, they're also doing the support a streamer. And I understand there's two reasons why this might be happening. The first reason is just because that's just how the scheduling worked with the collab that they're doing with Berserk. It could just be, okay, Callie's right next to me. She's going crazy. I'm going to pet her while we talk. It could just be that it coincided with that specific date, and that's just the reason. Fine. Could also be the reason of they're just trying to extend the life of their season, right? Most people are there for 1 week, then people leave. That's the way ARPGs go. Very hard to keep people's attention span for much longer than that. Then they wait the new season. Could be from extending. So I understand the logistics of everything. But taking the events off of the launch of the game for me is just a total buzzkill. It's really just a buzzkill. And like I could easily just, pretend like I'm really excited to play for a very, very long time and just sit there and try to soak up as many of those support a streamer subs as I could. But I've got to be honest with you. I don't think I'm going to be playing in its current state. I don't think I'm going to be playing for more than 7 days, especially with the No Rest for the Wicked coming out. And it's really, please do not misunderstand my words. I'm not saying this because I want my money. I want my subs, and I'm mad that I'm not getting my money. I mean, I could just go play a week later and whatever. I don't care about that. What I'm saying is not making the launch as epic as you possibly can and trying to drag it out. I'm expecting that the numbers are going to plummet the way that they normally do for all ARPGs within the first week, and it's just not going to be as impactful. We'll see if my prediction is true, but I think this is something to note in the future. I would just do all the cool stuff at the start and try to make it as epic as possible. Okay, so all of this with my future with Diablo 4, I still like Blizzard. I still like the Diablo franchise. I grew up playing it as a kid. It's how I became a streamer. It's how I became a YouTuber. Um, I still like these guys. I still wish the very best for Diablo. I plan on all seasons to make an appearance and play, and the next couple of times where it's powers, whatever, I'll log in and play for a little bit, and I will enjoy it. It's fine. Diablo 4 for me is fun in small doses. Because I haven't really played it hardly at all in the last like 3 or 6 months, I'm just not the expert in this game that I used to be. I used to know, like, you never know everything, but I knew more than almost everybody. And I was able to make tier lists and guides, and I knew the fastest leveling strategies, and I made the spreadsheets and the nightmare dungeons. I knew exactly what to do, like pretty much all the time. And now I'm honestly just kind of like everybody else. I just log in and I just see how everything feels, and I enjoy it for a few days, and that's just kind of it. And on this channel, I I don't make content just for clicks. If I made a Diablo 4 tier list, I already know it'd be probably one of my most successful videos of the last 3 months. But it would just be me essentially, I'd either have to guess or I'd have to go study a bunch of content creators that actually did all of the work and then just kind of like gather their thoughts and spit out the tier list as my own, which is also just complete dog shit content. So, with that in mind, I don't plan to have any guides or tier lists for Diablo 4 in the near future. I expect to just be a player. I can log in and play and make my state of Diablo 4 video. This is how I feel that it's going right now. Um, but the moment that Diablo 4 becomes fun for me, the moment that we get some skill trees, the moment that we actually get a season that's new, the moment that there's some pinnacle challenges, da 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 da, I'll absolutely be there. Admittedly, one more time, one of the problems here is with timing. No Rest for the Wicked comes out the day after Diablo 4, and I just love that game. So it's an ARPG if you don't know. So I'm definitely going to be playing that. If Diablo 4 launches in space, meaning that there's no games around it, I'll probably play it for an extended period of time. And happily too, not like they're shackling me to the desk to do so. But that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to give you once again a very my honest opinion, honest overview of what's going on. Um, I would maybe more on this video than almost any other one. I would like to hear what you guys think. The main reason why is a lot of you guys maybe subscribe to my channel because of Diablo 3 or Diablo 4. And if you wouldn't mind being brutally honest with me, how do you feel about the fact that I'm just a little sad with Diablo 4 right now? It doesn't like completely captivate my attention, and I don't plan on making some immediate content for the game. Be honest with me. Does that make you just want to unsub? Is that just something you're not interested in? I'll be honest with you as well. I don't think that change it. I don't know if that will change my trajectory because I can't sit here and play something that I'm not having fun with, even if it is my job. I'm just not interested in that. But your words will mean something to me. I will read them and see, you know, what I can do based upon what you say. Or maybe you say, "Oh, I'm so glad that you went to Last Epoch and POE and No Rest for the Wicked." Like maybe Grim Dawn when it comes out. If you like seeing the other ARPGs and like covering them all, and that's what you would like, let me know that as well. Anyway, I'm trying to make a very calm. There's no cuss words. I didn't raise my voice and call anybody names. I'm trying to give honest feedback here. If you want to help, if you want Diablo 4 to get better, in my eyes, these are some of the big, big big ticket items that I would be working on. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And what's going to be coming is Couple more last Epoch guides. I got to make an endgame paladin guide for you. I got to make an endgame crafting guide for you guys. I saw you guys. You said, Rax, show us how to make an endgame item. I will do that. And then No Rest for the Wicked is coming out. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to make like a hype video for it. About me. You should be playing it. You should be playing it on April 30th. I'm willing to put my reputation on the line. You should be playing it on 30th. It's going to be sick. All right, guys. Thank you so much.